What's up, y'all? It's your girl Sang, and today we're going to be reacting to another video from O'Shea Duke Jackson. If you don't remember, the last video was about the female pastor. She seemed like one of those woke progressive pastors. Remember, she was a female pastor, which was already incorrect. She was gay. Well, she said she was bi. That's still gay. And it was just a whole mess, right? I was like, I never thought I would be doing a video reaction to O'Shea Duke Jackson. But this one is titled, Christian Woman Refuses to Let Her Husband Smash Because of This. Now, I got interested because I'm just like, why is she refusing to let him smash if it's her husband? I was intrigued, which led us to doing this. So let's see what he has to talk about.
So sexless marriages is a big topic in the manosphere community, not just the black manosphere, white manosphere also. And the reason is that a lot of guys invest a lot into long-term relationships. You court, you date, you buy houses, you build businesses. A lot of times you even share assets. And oh, by the way, they're children. But after making that particular investment, pretty much convincing your wife in comparisons to other guys that you're the one for her, then you find out that as the relationship progresses, she doesn't want to have sex with you. Now, let me before we get into some of the videos today, I could understand if it's from the vantage point that, you were cheating on your wife, you were abusive to your wife, things like that. It's very understandable as to why a woman wants to fall out of love with you and not trust you anymore. I get it. Yeah. But what about situations in which you're doing nothing wrong as a man and you're doing what you're supposed to do? Like you're still paying the bills, you're still sacrificing, you're doing everything that you're supposed to do, and then your wife doesn't want to have sex. But let's throw a bigger kicker in the game. What if your wife doesn't want to have sex with you because of Jesus? What? Welcome to Fair Use Reactions. Let's get into the video.
What?
Last year or 2 years ago, I had this specific conversation with Dr. Tiasan Johnson about men in sexless marriages. Now, Tiasan Johnson is an awesome intellectual, especially in the men rights community, in particular black men. And we were talking about why women would even decide to participate in sexless relationships or marriages in the first place. Now, what I'd like to do is play a clip of that audio or video, and then we'll come back. Why are some of the reasons from the men that I know you've experienced it yourself, but what were some of the reasons that these men, because obviously you talk to your wife or you talk to your partner about this sexless relationship that's going on or no intimacy, what are some of the reasons that the wife gives as to why they don't want to do it?
There are a number of reasons. Some that she'll give, some that she won't, some that you figure out. But mismatched sexual libidos, lack of communication, childbirth, antidepressants, hyposexual desire disorder.
A big thing that he said right there is communication. Because if y'all not talking, that's going to be a problem in itself, regardless in all aspects of the relationship outside of just sex. And then when he said bringing kids in, being tired, that turns into a thing as well. You guys have to remember, when women have kids, not only, usually at the hospital, you don't really get much sleep, because throughout the night, nurses are going to keep coming in every so many hours, because not only do they have to check on you, they have to check on the baby and do all this stuff. So you're not really getting good sleep at the hospital. And then once you get home, you might not get sleep as well, depending on your situation of who you just had this child with, right? The dad might be there for that day, and then he might bounce. And when I say bounce, I don't mean like leave, but he might just be like, I don't have time off from work, so I can't stay past like this day or two. So then that leaves you're just like a walking zombie at that point. You're not getting good sleep. You might not have family to come help you. You might be a woman that, I guess we're talking about marriages, so I can't use that as an example. But there's a lot of things. It depends who your partner is and how available they are to help you do things. And then that could turn into, say the man comes home from work and he's tired, but you are also dead tired, and you could be like, can you please just watch the kid? And if he got an attitude because he's tired as well, that's gonna lead to y'all just butting heads like nonstop. And if you angry, you're not trying to have sex when you angry. Some people might, but you have to factor in tiredness and angry. You more than likely you ain't having sex with that person. So there's a lot of factors that play into that. back to this.
Or low sex drive, history of sexual abuse. You know, a lot of women deal with that, where they've been sexually abused, raped, or violated even when they were young. And a lot of men deal with that as well, by the way.
I thought the same, men too.
So porn addiction, grief, vaginal dryness, even due to menopause, body image issues, financial problems. You know, all of these things contribute to the dynamic. But you raised a significant one, and that's trust. Now, sometimes there's a reason where that's in place, you know, where if you stepped out on her and she doesn't trust you, sometimes that you've done nothing and she just doesn't trust you for her own reasons, whatever insecurities might be at play with her. So even when we say trust as an issue, as far as where women are coming from, it doesn't necessarily mean that a man has done something. It can simply mean that she believes he has, or is worried about the fact that she has, and she's withdrawn from him emotionally and disconnected. And, you know, often there's no conversation about it. You know, you intimated this a little bit earlier. It'll go from a few days to a few weeks to a few months. And, you know, and I know in my situation, you know, I tried everything. I tried conversation. I tried candlelight dinners. I tried therapy. I tried arguments. I thought, hey, maybe I'll put her off and she'll say something. You know, at the end of the day, I never found out. And I've engaged a lot of brothers that just don't know why. Even after therapy, couples therapy, you know, still haven't been given a straightforward reason. So there are some reasons that you can kind of, you know, pull out, and there are situations sometimes where you just never find out.
That's what I said. That's back to communication, though. If you not being 100% on both ends, saying what the problem issue is. So like he said with his wife, he's like, I did all these things and she still wouldn't tell me. That's a communication issue. Because the fact that she couldn't tell you, and then y'all went to couples therapy, she still couldn't even say in the therapy, something happened and something's wrong. We're like, bro. And now I don't know their situation, but I don't know what it is. But she needed to let that off with somebody. Maybe she should have did some like personal therapy to get that off, and maybe she would have been more, you know, easier with telling him. But at the end of the day, communication is a big part of your relationship, regardless if you're married or not.
So I want to build on a few of those concepts that Dr. Chieson Johnson is really building upon. Number one, yes, it's true. A man could have certain levels of mistrust in the relationship, forcing a woman to, you know, take away that urge to want to be intimate with him or sexually intimate with him. That is also the truth. But then we have idiopathic reasons why. And idiopathic is a medical term where a disease or something bad happens out of nowhere. Okay? For an example, he mentions a woman can get to be overweight, right? She could just gain weight and not feel good about herself as an excuse. And
yeah, some women have that after giving birth. So you know how it is that you see some women just like snap back, right? Not every woman does that. So some women it still be a little bit bigger, or their breasts might get bigger, which it has to be like that because they're like breastfeeding or whatever. And they've never been at these sizes before. So you get body issues off that and you just don't feel sexy anymore. Guys just be like, it's cool, I like you. Most dudes don't care. Most dudes will have sex with a woman in a paper bag. They do not care, right? But as women, like, we view ourselves and we just like, nah, this don't feel right. But that needs to be communicated, like, heavily. Like, heavy communication has to go with that.
And not want to have sex. A woman can be influenced by her friends. A woman can have all different sorts of things. Kids, childbearing, you know, hormones not there. But the man has done nothing. In fact, the man can still be a great husband. He's working, he's paying the bills, he's done everything he's supposed to do since he's been in the relationship with the woman. It's her who has changed in an idiopathic fashion. But now, let's get into today's topic. There is a Christian woman, okay, who has a Christian husband. The man has done no wrong. But I want to review this video about how he's being punished for being the right guy at the wrong time.
What?
Let's get into it.
What?
So I'm going to talk about something that might make you a little uncomfortable, but it's okay because we ain't about comfort over here. So my husband and I went to a event, I guess you can say, or like a class in church called Elevated Marriage. It was my first time there. It was his second time there. And I look at the topic and I'm like, what are they going to talk about today, right? And I look down at the paper and it says sex and marriage. So I was kind of like taken aback by it because I've actually been like in my mind thinking about that a lot. only because I look at sex from a negative lens, kind of. I could say God is healing me from that because of my past. And I want to give y'all some revelation that I just got from yesterday. So a lot of us grew up being very promiscuous. If you did not grow up
Speak for yourself, because I did not. Speak for yourself.
that way, bless you, you saved yourself from so much damage.
Thank you.
But because
Thank
I grew
you.
up like that, when I got into a relationship that was actually...
Just pause real quick, ladies. And men too. I done said this numerous times on my channel. Do not be having high body counts. Don't be out here sleeping with nobody. Who you be with, it needs to be intention. When it comes to dating, the intention is to get married. It's not to just sleep around. You can get random people pregnant, and that's a whole issue in itself. Because now you're going to have baby mama, baby daddy issues and all that. Whole headaches, right? You can catch STDs. Don't do it. Don't do none of it. Follow the God pill. Follow the God pill.
actually a real relationship, and now my marriage, I realized that because God took away my desire for promiscuity and all that stuff, that I didn't have a desire anymore, even like for my husband.
Huh? What? Yeah, he took it away so you can be better and save yourself for the right guy. Now that you've done that, you're married now. You can be wild with your husband. That is allowed. Nowhere in the Bible does it say you can't sex up your husband. What?
And although my husband and I would have sex, it was like really hard for me. Like I really had to push myself to go there. And it was like an internal battle I fought because I felt so bad. I'm like, am I not attracted to my husband? Like, why don't I want to have
What
sex?
do you feel bad
And I would have this
for?
conversation with God all the time in my head and never talk to my husband about it. So yesterday I'm sitting in there and I'm just like, I can't believe God is answering this prayer for me right now. So here was the one that stood out to me the most. In the world, we are taught that sex is better outside of marriage. But in the kingdom of God, and why he tells us to wait, is because sex with your husband, when you become one with them, is actually like the highest form of praise to God. Like our bodies were meant to have sex and meant to be unified with one another in deep intimacy.
Yeah.
This lady told me, she was like, some of you need to forgive yourself for being promiscuous. Some of you need to forgive yourself or forgive the people that have introduced you to perversion and the things that you've seen even like as a child. And that made so much sense to me. Because think about it,
I'm
you
glad
guys.
it did.
If we were never meant to have sex outside of marriage, then we wouldn't be having these weird thoughts inside of marriage of, oh, I'm not that person anymore. Oh, I'm not promiscuous anymore. Oh, I'm not this. Oh, I'm not that. But that's a lie. You were meant to be hot with your husband or hot with your wife.
Yeah.
You would have became a freak anyways, eventually, with your husband or your wife, right?
Yeah, you
I don't
supposed
know,
to do
man.
it with
I hope
them.
that hit y'all the way it hit me, because it made a lot of sense to me. It'll only make sense to the people that it's meant for.
See, you probably pair bonded with too many people, and now you messed up and don't know how to do it with your husband. You supposed to get freaky with that's your husband. Who else? If not him, who else? Because if it's anybody else, you cheating at that point. You supposed to get freaky with him. Fellas, you married, you supposed to get freaky with your wife. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point. You supposed to do it with them. You supposed girl, she was thinking backwards. I'm thinking this is before marriage, but no, she's married. What the
So let me just say this. There are some things about that I don't agree with, but the overall synopsis,
that's funny.
I agree with. Because she says she feels bad because she was promiscuous before she met her husband. And then who has to pay the consequence? The husband. And that's something that's very normal with a lot of men.
Yeah, I think because she pair bonded with too many people, she's taking it out on the husband. It's like, that's backwards. That's the one you supposed to be giving it all to. Y'all supposed to be so in love. Y'all supposed to be freaky all the time.
Men in relationships with women. Now, women don't want to deal with you when you have mommy issues or you have issues of, other disorders coming from the past. But clearly, women expect men to deal with their problems all the time. That's why you hear so many of the singers in the 90s said, take me as I am, right? Now, they'll never take you as you are, for sure. But women want you to accept them where they are. And whatever damages and issues that they have, you're supposed to work through it, even when you marry them. Now, obviously, what this young woman doesn't understand, the man had already been into this kind of Christian relationship therapy thing once before her, because she said it was his second time, her first time.
Yeah,
meaning that he was already progressing to leave her. So, but he was trying to give her some chances to work it out.
How did you get he was progressing to leave her? If he went once, he probably went once without her to see how it was, and then was like, oh, she can definitely benefit for this because I'm trying to have some freaky sex with my wife. That's probably why he went that first time. I wouldn't say he was progressing to full on leave her. That's why he went there. That don't seem like the place for that. It's at a church. Now, if he would have took her, this is where it gets different. If he would have took her and she didn't have the light bulb moment of, oh, I need to be getting freaky, maybe he would have been looking out like to leave and divorce, which we know biblically how that's supposed to go, but I don't think him going there once without her, I think it was just to scope it out to see if it can potentially help her. I think that's why he went alone the first time.
Okay? So listen, you need to come to this Elevate thing with me. If not, it's not going to be cool. But eventually she got it. But how many guys are going through that and their wife doesn't get it? Their wife, you go to the counseling sessions, you go through all that. I'm a big firm believer of this. If you have to go to counseling relationships because your wife won't have sex with you, it doesn't matter why she doesn't want to do it. If she can't tell you, because obviously the woman was saying, I was talking to God about it, but not him, then you tell God to come over here and help you get your stuff. You tell God to pay the rent next month. And I'm a firm believer in God, but since you believe that God will make a way for you, you come and have him help you come and get your point blank. I don't believe in the fact that your wife doesn't want to have sex with you. I need to go to some therapy, or my girlfriend doesn't want something with me to get it right. You don't want to do it because you don't want to do it. For whatever reason you don't want to do it, get out. Period.
All right, O'Shea, look, man. This is where communication comes into play. See, I've been saying this the whole time. This is where communication is full on key, okay, on both ends. If he's saying, baby, la la la, why won't you do it? She's not saying anything, that is a problem. So you don't go straight to leaving and divorce. Therapy is technically the next step, because it's like, if you're not going to tell me, maybe you'll tell me in a therapeutic setting. Now, the one guy he was talking to, that dude said he did all that with his wife, but she still didn't do that. That can't be helped at that point, because you need communication for a relationship. You just need it. Your communication has to be A1 at all times. I know, like, every relationship goes through something. Y'all gonna be arguing at some points, but y'all gotta learn there's healthy ways to argue. That's a crazy thing to say, but there's healthy ways to argue, and there's healthy ways to talk back and forth to one another and be open and honest. And how to handle things you may not like hearing. There's healthy ways to do that. And you might get that out of the couples therapy. Now, I don't know what to do if nobody's listening. I know a lot of people just leave. I don't know the Christian way of doing that, because, you know, the Bible says for adultery. And so I don't know the Christian way of handling that if one side ain't listening. But communication has to be key, all right? Not only do y'all have to be open with each other, y'all both have to listen. Y'all have to listen. If the one, because we could flip this too. If she's having these issues and she's like, baby, these are my problems, blah, 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 and the dude is just like, whatever, that's going to be issues too. And you can swap out man, woman on each side. It don't matter, right? You can swap all that out. Communication and listening is key. It has to be done in the relationship. But yeah, I'm glad she got it, because she seemed confused about marriage. Like, miss, you're supposed to withhold it before marriage, and then you give it to him during marriage. That's the whole point. Y'all supposed to be, oh man. Look, when y'all married, you're never supposed to stop dating one another. I know things happen and things come up, but if y'all can figure out once a week or once every other week. I know if you got kids, that gets harder because you got to be finding babysitters and stuff, and it'd be hard to trust people nowadays because people are crazy, but y'all got to figure out, like, even at that point, maybe once a month do a date night or something, but y'all got to keep it fresh. Y'all got to figure out how to be there, right? Y'all got to be eye to eye your whole relationship, even with kids in the mix, because at some point them kids gotta leave the nest and it's just gonna be y'all again. So that's why the order is God, man, woman, and then kids. Kids are always last. That don't mean you don't love them or nothing, but it's like it gotta be y'all. Y'all gotta be that unit. It's always gonna be y'all. Like communication, listening. What do y'all think? What do y'all think, man? Let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss our drop a video. And until next time, you already know who it is. It's Sang.